Hey, Pete Up Nation, Pete Up Podcast fans, we're back for another session. It's May 14th, 2021, and we got a special guest for you today. I'm excited about this guest. You know what? You're going to get some real intel. You're going to get some real insight into how MMA lines work, betting works. We got a true professional that's worked for the sports books and is betting as a professional today. And so this is the kind of content you want to see. These are the type of people that you want to hear from and listen to and get advice from. And so I am excited about this podcast, and you should be as well. So without further ado, we're going to bring in Joey Oddessa, a true professional in the MMA world, and let's bring him in. Joey, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
How we doing, Joey? I'm doing well, man. I'm excited to have you on the show and give these people what they want to see, what they want to hear about MMA and fighting in general. So we're excited to have you here. It's an honor to have you here. So thanks for jumping on the show.
Yeah.
So this is what we're going to do, Joey.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is what we're going to do. So you're going to tell us a little bit about, where you came from, what you did, and give us a little background baseline real quick in about a couple minutes.
All righty. I went offshore in 1999. Mixed martial arts was relatively unknown to most people. You had the first UFC in 1993. I mean, odds just were non-existent. I was in a New York club at the time working. I was doing some work, some gambling and things back then. I put up odds on UFC 1, odds to win at all the tournament. It's funny because we had used a fax machine to get the bouts and the participants for the UFC. Anyways, I went offshore after, booked onshore for years, went offshore in 1999 and landed down in Costa Rica, started working for a book, went in the door. I started off as a simple clerk. I graduated very quickly to the stage where the guys would actually do the trading. And mixed martial arts was non-existent on wagering menus. Boxing was very scarce. And I had a niche for the boxing. I bet boxing back in New York. I mean, I bet, and I was fairly good at it. I'd win more on boxing, and then I'd lose it on football. I found my niche. I realized that, this is something I have to stick to, stay away from the other sports. So I focused mostly. Now, when mixed martial arts started to come more mainstream, 2003, 2005, 10 UFCs a year. Now it's a 52-week season. Every week there's mixed martial arts. Every week there's MMA. The boxing menus have increased incredibly. So now it's probably the largest growing sport, for wagering that's out there right now.
So, I mean, that's a pretty interesting story. I mean, it's not typical that we talk to somebody that actually set the lines. So what information can you provide us? You got two fighters, right? Two fighters you're looking at. You watch all the fights as you kind of let us know. And so minus 200, minus 180. I mean, how does that number, I know it's probably difficult to explain, but what information can you provide us with coming up with that number?
Well, for one, I watch everybody. I mean, I watch these fights. I've seen these guys fight. If I didn't see these guys fighting, that are making their debut, I watched them whether they were, their base was boxing, amateur wrestling, karate, things like that. Like if you dig deep enough now on the internet, you'll find videotape on everybody. And there's plenty of information out there. But the key is really you take all that information. And what I do is I just sort it out. I sort out the common sense from the nonsense. I equate it. No two fights are ever the same. So you'll get these stat guys that come in and say, oh, well, the women's fights go over more. You bet over in the women's fights, you always win. Well, you know what? That's not true. You go betting over in the women's fight minus 300, where you have a 75, 85% probability for it to go over. And then the end, you end up losing money. The book ends because the margins are so wide, and because of that hole, it's overcome that 10 and those margins. So those stats guys, by the time something becomes a trend, it usually corrects itself. It's not like football where two teams play each other several times. Even with boxing and MMA, two guys fight each other. Play each other if the Jets Dolphins twice. Sometimes they'll split, or one team might be more dominant, like Kansas City when they went on that, on their way to the Super Bowl, they're beating guys in their division 2 times. When 2 people fight, it's an entirely different dynamic, especially if they fight a second time, because more mental than physical. When a guy comes in the second time, a lot of times the guy that's supposed to win the fight that won the first fight, mentally, he feels like the pressure, the expectation of him to win is so much higher than the guy that didn't. Now, I don't believe in that where people say, well, this guy's got nothing to lose, so on and so forth, because he'll resort to his natural instincts once he's in there, once he gets hit anyway. So my point is that no 2 fights are ever the same. So the stats, the data, all these, things like that they talk about, well, this quantifies this quantifies that. Take it, throw it out the window. And as far as the numbers, the opening number now, I mean, a lot of these numbers move. You'll watch, like, they put up some of these smaller events. I've been back from offshore for the past couple of years in the United States, so I stopped making numbers for the sports book. I worked with Pinnacle, I worked with Olympic, I worked with Bovada, I worked with Delmar, I worked with Caribbean, Loose Lines. I worked with all the books, sportsbook.com for 18 years, their very first number. So now the odds makers, I don't know how many guys they actually have making the numbers. I used to cover all the mixed martial arts and all the boxing. I put my own up. Tony from Five Dimes, he was now deceased. He used to put up some extra bouts and things like that, low limits. But for the most part, I was opening up the first number on every fight. And if my number was so much, if somebody else opened before, my number was more than likely, I bet their number to get to my number.
So talk to us a little bit about this.
And I studied more, and I had more information. Now, granted,
Right.
sometimes you get caught speeding in that situation, but.
Hey, so talk to us a little bit about this. So you open the number, right? What moves that number specifically? I want to hear from you. I know what moves the number, but tell the people what actually moves that number one way or another. Is it steam? Is it big bets and steam? Is it reverse? There could be reverse line movement. Is it money? Is it tickets? Tell these people what it truly is.
Well, when I used to move the number, I would move the number off of money and faces more than money. When I say faces, like if a sharp guy comes in, somebody that I know is a proven winner, somebody that somebody that's consistently winning, a professional bettor, a lot of times money on one side, and it's dead money. When I say dead money, they'll pile on somebody because somebody didn't make weight. They'll bet the other side, looking at a trend up on it. When in reality, the person that did make it, but don't see the training camp, they don't know that 7 days out, the guy was only 8 pounds over, and he planned on give things to go into it. But as far as moving the number, naturally, you want to have a position on a fight. Well, the object of booking the number is to have generate act. Well, the number is there to generate 2 action, to make both sides look appealing. Whether you're going to fight, for instance, this weekend, Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. You want both sides to look appealing. You make, they're with the bet Chandler. I mean, it would be glaringly a bad. He moves the number. As far as a main event bout like this, I mean, it would take a lot of money to make this. Right now, Oliveira is $1.35, $1.40. Would take a whole lot of -200, or some sort of a late injury or something that could be a lot of things. Could be if you had for instance, when Conor McGregor fights, legal problems always seem to follow him. So, if somebody filed a lawsuit against Michael Chandler, last minute distractions, women problems, personal problems, things like that, Charles Oliveira could get bet up and it could push over -200, but it's highly unlikely in this case. So money moves the number. Maybe more, if a guy comes in and a book's it is $1,000, and bets $1,000, and they're going to move the number 10 cents, but the guys are 20 cents or 25 cents, position themselves on the right side. Ideally, you'd probably want a 60-40 on every fight on the board, because with the margins, the book is supposed to win.
Got you. Okay, so give us your free pick here on the Chandler Oliveira fight. What side are you taking personally?
We still connect.
Still there? I think we got a bad connection, people. I think we got a bad connection with Joey.
Just folded before. He's been knocked out. Chandler has been knocked out three times, but I'm sorry.
We're gonna have to end this broadcast.
Yeah, Oliveira